Hello and welcome to the TechBytes audiocast. My name's Tim and I'm from the TechBytes blogazine, and with me is Dr. Roy Shestowitz from the TechBytes website.
It's Friday night and I'm gonna get sauce. I fought the troll and the troll lost. I fought the troll and the troll lost. He tried to boss me and was outbossed. I fought the troll and the troll lost. I fought the troll and the troll lost. Underneath his creeper bridge, hoping goats will cross. Quoting Ashcroft and Tom Ridge.
Right, hello and welcome to episode 45 of the TechBytes audiocast. It's just me and Roy here tonight, and I think it goes without saying that the main topic on everybody's lips is Skype. So without further ado, that's going to be our first topic. And Roy, I think you're going to start us off.
Yeah, well, we don't really have any planned, list of topics to go through when it comes to the situation to do with Skype, the outcomes of things, and the acquisition itself, whether it's sound, whether it isn't sound. And one of the things that occurred to me, I heard the news just shortly after I heard about speculation it was going to be Facebook buying the company. I wasn't relieved by it, but the first thing I looked at was the price they paid for Skype. And to me it was interesting because I know Microsoft got some debt. I think the debt they had, the last time I checked, the debt they had was $6.7 billion. Now, if they're going to buy Skype, they basically start to play in a bit of a risky way with what they have, but also this kind of shows you that they overpaid by far for something which I don't think strategically is going to offer them so much. And I know we two of us, we had this discussion before, and I don't think we agreed on that, whether it's going to be very damaging to Linux or isn't. I don't really think that's the main. I don't really think that's their main goal. I've been thinking about it for the past few days, and I think one of the advantages they have in mind is trying to sell phones with Windows, Nokia phones as well, at a very with a very unique offer. Things like, free calls over VoIP to your Windows computers, preferably, maybe other clients too. So you'll have reasons to have Windows on the phone and Windows on the computer to kind of communicate without having to pay the carriers. I think that's one of the things they thought about. The other things that they have will be kind of useless. And we have to remember, they already had all kinds of voice-based clients and even video. So it's kind of a bit of a duplication of things. They just buy more companies doing exactly the same as they already do. And this isn't the first time they do that. I mean, they bought for about $6 billion a company that was supposed to give them something to do with ads, and of course the founders and everybody associated with that company has left Microsoft since then. They once bought this company called Tellme. That was a few years back, and the founder of this company also left Microsoft. And they also bought all kinds of companies to do with mobile phones, and one of them, the notable one, was Danger, the company behind the Sidekick, and we hopefully know what happened with that. So this is one of those cases where they say, well, we have this offer. We offer people the chance to correspond in Hotmail, which of course we bought to get the market share. And we have this MSN thing and Live and whatever, they keep changing brands for these things. But they kind of thought, well, we are not leading in this area, and Google is coming and becoming pretty strong with the voice-based applications over the web. And they just thought, well, we already have this thing, but we also need more markets, so we'll just buy a company that's doing exactly the same thing as we already have, just to get the users. And it's really wasteful, absolutely wasteful.
Yeah, I mean, that was the point I was going to certainly bring up, is that I think this acquisition is more to do with buying a customer base than a technology. I think the technology is already in place, and certainly we've seen examples of very similar technologies all around the net, even as we speak. So I think the main value for Microsoft in its biggest acquisition ever is in the user base.
I'm not sure it's the biggest acquisition ever. It's the one they actually pay for as an acquisition, because they kind of bought, I wouldn't say they bought Novell, but they took control of major parts of Yahoo, and then Nokia as well. That's pretty much an acquisition of sorts. So, using malls, essentially. The fact is, well, from my point of view, it's also good news, of course, because now I have a reason to only use SIP, and to move towards SIP, and also to tell other people to use SIP, and now I can tell them, well, it's not because it's proprietary, it's because it's Microsoft. And people generally know that there is something strange about Microsoft. They know that they don't choose Windows, they've just been forced to, to use that, so it makes it a bit easier. I suppose.
I mean, I think probably maybe the term is the biggest ever overt acquisition. Maybe would be a better way to phrase it. But for me, I take a slightly different view. I mean, this for me is another example of Microsoft purchasing its success and not creating it itself. And I see a lot of potential in the Skype acquisition and can see the value in it for Microsoft. We can see a lot of products on the Xbox platform offered through Skype. We could see the Windows Phone 7 offering Skype-related features. Now, the strange thing is that
use this first.
Yeah,
well, I mean, I'm serious. No, I know people will say, well, people will buy the phones because of the VoIP thing, but it's easier if you actually have some people to actually recommend to friends that they have this feature, and I don't really think that. I mean, one of the things that you do try, if you watch UK television, you probably see all those ads, maybe in the States marketed in the same way, but the marketing pitch for Windows phones now is something to do with integrates with Xbox, and what else was it? Xbox and Office. So they basically use brands of Microsoft and all kinds of franchises they have, and they say, well, if you buy this phone, it works better with Microsoft stuff. But which I don't really think is very compelling when you just want to make phone calls and receive calls.
You see, I think with social networking and communication, different communication methods to some extent, the user will flock to what everybody else is using, unfortunately. And when you look at Facebook, you look at the amount of criticism that its users give it, or a lot of its users give it, yet they still flock to it because all their friends are on it, and that's the medium in which they communicate with them. The Skype purchase, for me, would suggest that Microsoft intends, obviously, to have it on all of its platforms, Windows Phone 7, 360, and without question Windows. But the strange part about all this was the comments that they made in regards to other platforms. Now, from what I've read, it doesn't seem that Microsoft won't be supporting them. There's been a very loose comment made, and I wish I could quote it now, but it certainly suggested that they still would be supporting other platforms and Skype.
Yeah, that's what I read as well. Go to the Ubuntu homepage, and you'll see them still recommending Skype. The Ubuntu homepage. It's a really bad idea.
For me, it's always been with Microsoft, not so much the actions of the company, but the first port of call for me with my criticism against Microsoft and my movement away from it was the products themselves. I've said countless times that Microsoft products were not fit for purpose for me, and I found a better home, for want of a better word, with Linux and free and open source software. But ultimately, I choose the software packages that are best for me. And I think we're at a stage now where if we have diversity and choice, it really matters not who controls the medium in which we communicate, as long as we have the facility to choose. Myself and Roy, and we'll come on to this probably in a minute, but we've been using SIP over the last few days to run a few tests. That wasn't out of anything like sour grapes because Microsoft is making this acquisition of Skype. It was mainly to give ourselves options and give ourselves other opportunities to use other methods for communicating with each other. I hasten to add that the tests that we ran, to all intents and purposes, were exactly the same as the results that we get from Skype. Difference being is that with Skype, there's an established user base already. There will be certain people who hopefully we'll have on the show that maybe will only have access to Skype for whatever reason. Whether they move to another medium is their choice, but I think at the moment, certainly as it stands, to have Skype as well as, not instead of, is certainly a good option. That's certainly going to be my option. I'm not sure about you, Roy, but as well as instead of.
We've been trying Skype for a few months now. I think it was my idea actually to try and test this way back in. Actually, I think the first time we tried it was before we did the show. In a way, and we always kind of had this on the side. But the issue, sometimes we had guests and we have certain people on the show, don't give names, and they weren't too happy with going outside of Skype. And
I think Well, dare I say it, I think in one respect the choice to use Skype initially came from a basis of, I don't want to say laziness, that sounds bad, but convenience probably was a better way, because Skype was already there. There was no need to further research or investigate different solutions. We knew it was a proven technology, so to